The drums had already started. Hundreds of guests filled the palace courtyard, dressed in beautiful traditional fabrics. Gold decoration covered the entrance. Women sang, men danced. The royal guard stood proudly beside the wedding aisle. And inside the palace chapel, Princess Nia stood in a white and gold wedding dress, waiting for the man she loved. But 5 minutes before the ceremony, the chief palace messenger ran into the courtyard. His face was covered with fear. He rushed towards the king. "Your Majesty," the music stopped. Everyone turned. The king stood. What happened? The messenger looked at the princess, then at the groom, and finally whispered, "The wedding cannot happen." The entire courtyard went silent. The king's voice became cold. Why? The messenger swallowed. Because the bride has been accused of stealing the royal crown. Gasps filled the crowd. Nia's face went pale. She looked at her fiancé, Prince Kian. "Kian?" But he didn't answer. Instead, he slowly looked towards his father. And for the first time since they met, Nia saw fear in the prince's eyes. 3 months earlier, Nia had never dreamt of becoming a queen. She grew up in Aroko, a quiet town known for its colorful markets, skilled weavers, and numerous mango trees. Her father repaired old musical instruments. Her mother made traditional beads. They weren't rich, but they were respected. Nia was different from most women in her town. She loved restoring old things, broken chairs, old paintings, ancient jewelries. Anything people considered useless fascinated her. One afternoon, she was invited to the royal palace to restore an old wooden chest that had belonged to the royal family. That was where she met Kian. He wasn't wearing royal clothes that day. He was sitting on the palace steps, eating roasted corn. Nia walked past him. He smiled and said, "You're the woman they have been waiting for." She stopped. "Excuse me?" Then he said, "The woman who repairs old things." Nia laughed and said, "Yes." Kian looked at the broken chest. "Can you repair this?" "I can." "What if it's impossible?" Nia smiled. "Then I will make it beautiful in a different way." Kian laughed. Neither of them knew that these words would later change their lives. Kian began visiting Nia's workshop. At first, they talked about furniture, music, then family, then dreams. Kian told her that palace life wasn't as beautiful as outsiders imagined. Nia told him she wanted a husband who would see her as a person rather than a title. One evening, Kian finally told her the truth. "I am a prince." Nia stared at him. Then she laughed. "You?" Kian smiled. "You don't believe me?" "No, I don't believe you at all." He took out his royal ring and her smile disappeared. "So you've been lying to me?" Then Kian said to her, "I wanted you to know me before knowing my title." Nia looked at him for a long time. Then she said, "Then don't expect me to love your crown." Kian smiled. "I don't want you to." And their love grew quietly. Kian asked her to marry him, and Nia said yes. But the moment the palace announced their engagement, everything changed. Queen Mara, Kian's mother, refused to accept Nia. "She isn't royal," Kian replied. "Neither was love." The queen was amused. "There are families who have waited generations for this marriage, Kian." Kian shook his head. "I am not marrying a family. I am marrying Nia, Mom." But the queen wasn't the only one against it. The royal council warned that the wedding would upset powerful families. Then rumors started spreading. People claimed Nia had enchanted the prince. Others said she wanted the crown. Someone even spread a story that her family had secretly planned to take control of the kingdom. Nia wanted to cancel the wedding, but Kian refused. "Let them talk. He held her hand. We know the truth. But they didn't. Not yet. A week before the wedding, Nia was repairing an ancient wooden box in the palace. She noticed something unusual. The bottom of the box had been replaced. She removed the wooden panel. Inside was a folded document. It was more than 50 years old. Nia read it. Her hands began to shake. The document stated that the royal family's most valuable farmland did not actually belong to the crown. It belonged to the people. The land had been entrusted to the royal family to protect, but someone had secretly been selling parts of it to private investors. Nia couldn't believe it. If the document became public, several powerful people inside the palace could lose everything. She immediately took the document to Kian, but before she could show him, someone entered the room. Nia quickly hid the paper. It was the royal advisor, Toby. He looked at her strangely. "What are you doing here?" "Repairing the chest," Nia replied. Then Toby smiled. "Be careful what you uncover." Then he left, and Nia felt a chill. The next morning, the palace announced that the wedding would be delayed. Then another announcement came. Nia was accused of stealing a priceless royal necklace. She was shocked. "I never touched it." But the necklace was found inside her workshop. Everyone believed the evidence. Kian stood beside her. "I know she did not do it." The queen looked at him. "You're willing to disgrace this palace for this woman?" Kian answered, "I am willing to defend an innocent person." But the accusations became worse. Someone released private letters between Nia and Kian. The letters had been edited to make it look as though Nia had been planning to control the prince. People began demanding that Kian ended the engagement. Nia finally broke down. "I don't want your crown." Kian looked at her. "I know. Then why is everyone treating me like I'm trying to steal it?" Kian could not answer her because he had no answer. Nia decided to leave. She packed one small bag. She didn't want to destroy Kian's relationship with his family. But before she left, she returned to the old chest. Something about the hidden documents bothered her. She examined the wooden panel again, and she discovered another compartment. Inside was a small metal key, and beneath it was a handwritten message. "The person who finds this must not trust the person sitting closest to the throne." Nia froze. Who sat closest to the throne? She asked herself. The king? The queen? Or the royal advisor? She suddenly realized the accusations against her weren't about the wedding. The wedding was being used as a distraction. Someone wanted her gone before she discovered the truth. Nia secretly met Kian. She told him everything: the hidden documents, the key, the message, the missing necklace. Kian finally understood. Someone was trying to destroy Nia's reputation because she had accidentally discovered the illegal sale of royal land. But there was another problem. The person behind everything wasn't Toby. It was Queen Mara. Kian couldn't believe it. "My mother?" Nia shook her head. "I don't know why." They confronted the queen. She didn't deny it. But her reason shocked them. She wasn't stealing the land. She was trying to stop the king. Years earlier, the king had secretly signed agreements to sell the land to powerful investors. The queen discovered the truth and tried to expose him, but she couldn't. If she accused the king publicly, the kingdom would descend in chaos. So she created a different plan. She wanted the wedding cancelled because she knew the wedding ceremony was the one place where the entire kingdom's leaders would gather. She planned to expose the land deal publicly on the wedding day. But then something went wrong. Someone had discovered her plan, and they had started framing Nia instead. The person who had stolen the necklace, the person who had edited the letters, the person who had planned the evidence wasn't the king, wasn't the queen, wasn't Toby either. It was Kian's cousin, Leo. Leo had secretly been working with the investors. He knew that if the wedding collapsed and the royal family became divided, the land would be sold without resistance. He had manipulated everyone. He even convinced the queen that her own actions were protecting the kingdom. But Leo made one mistake. He didn't know about the old key. Nia used it to open a hidden cabinet beneath the palace floor. Inside were signed agreements proving everything. And now, that brings us back to the moment where the messenger interrupted the wedding. "The bride stole the royal crown." Everyone stared at Nia. But Nia didn't move. She looked at the king, then at the queen, then at Leo. She calmly reached into her wedding dress and removed the old documents, and then said, "The crown isn't what was stolen." She held up the papers. The kingdom was, the courtyard erupted. Leo tried to leave, but the guards stopped him. The investors were exposed. The land agreements were cancelled. The king finally admitted what he had done, and the queen confessed that she had tried to manipulate the wedding to force the truth into the open. Kian looked at his mother. "You almost destroyed the woman that I love." The queen lowered her head. "I thought protecting the kingdom means controlling everything." Nia stepped forward and said, "Sometimes, protecting something means trusting people enough to tell them the truth." The queen looked at her. For the first time, there was no anger in her eyes, only shame. The wedding was almost cancelled, but Kian asked Nia one question. "After everything that has happened, Nia, do you still want to marry me?" Nia looked around at the palace. Then she smiled. "I never wanted the palace." She looked directly at him. "I wanted you." Kian smiled. "Then let's get married somewhere that belongs to neither of us." So they left the palace. They walked to the old town where they had first met. The people followed. There were no golden walls, no enormous ceremony, no royal speeches. Just music, dancing, food, laughter, and the people they loved. Kian and Nia exchanged their vows beneath the same large mango tree where Nia used to repair old furniture. And when they finally returned to the palace as husband and wife, something had changed. Nia wasn't simply becoming a princess, she had become a voice the kingdom respected. And Kian wasn't simply becoming a king. He had learned that ruling people wasn't about controlling everything around them. It was about knowing when to listen. Years later, people still called it the wedding everyone tried to stop. But the truth was, they hadn't been trying to stop a wedding. They had been trying to stop two people from discovering the truth. And they failed because sometimes love doesn't enter a palace wearing a crown. Sometimes it enters quietly in the hands of a woman repairing an old wooden chest, and in the heart of a prince who simply wanted to be loved for who he was. And sometimes the greatest thing two people can give a kingdom is not a crown. It is the courage to tell the truth.